Roses are red, Yorkists are white. Will you ride my sleigh tonight? Hey guys, it's Christmas! And what better way to celebrate Christmas than talking about Duelists of the Roses? This month marks 19 years since I first played Duelists of the Roses. And when I was 7 years old and played Duelists of the Roses, I had no clue what I was doing because all I'd ever played were 3D and 2D platformers and puzzle games. Now that I have way more knowledge about the game, I thought it was a good time to go back and get Redemption. When I entered my name into the PAL version of the game, I was offered 3 decks, and I honestly don't remember what the other 2 were, but one of them I remember seeing the Kryuel deck, and it said it had Fiends in it, so that was it, right? This was my ticket to get Summon Skull, the coolest card ever. It wasn't, but I just went with it anyway. Now, with the Kryuel deck, I honestly struggled a lot, and later on, as it turns out, there is actually a pretty good reason for that. The Kryuel deck is actually one of the only decks in the game, starter deck-wise, where you can't change the terrain at all. And as it turns out, well, terrain is pretty much the biggest thing in the game as far as trying to complete it and strength is concerned. So, without a terrain card, we're actually just forced to play on whatever the opponent's field is, which other decks actually have an answer to this, whereas ours just simply does not. In this video, I'm just going to go balls to the wall Redemption. We are going to just create the stupidest, strongest Fiend deck that we can possibly make, knowing our limitations of the game, and oh my god, this is going to be night and day. I won't show you how I struggled because I really don't have time to pretend to be bad at this game, but we'll talk about how we farm our cards and little strategies for that, and maybe you can even implement those strategies yourself. So I'm going to start on the red rose side for the simple reason that I'm wearing a red sweater. No, I'm kidding. So we're going to start on the red rose side so we can duel against Darkness Ruler, also known as Panik, who is going to be our primary resource for Fiends. We duel him, we can gain Fiend cards, we can also gain the other Fiend support cards he has, such as the Yami Terrain card. In addition to that, we can also get Fiend power-up cards. Power-ups and Terrain are the 2 strongest things in the game. You've heard that from me, they're just the best things ever in terms of completing the game. So we're gonna get Fiends, power-ups, Yami hopefully, and also we can get some trap cards from him, so anyone can farm him, but before we can duel Panik, we actually have to get to him, and the fastest way to do that is just by dueling Rex and beating him, and then Panik is unlocked. And Rex, well, luckily we actually have pretty good answers against him. So we have a handful of zombies, but we also have machines, which you can fuse a machine with a warrior or a dragon, and now you have a machine monster that hits for over 2000 attack on Wasteland and also moves 2 tiles. So if you manage to bring out some of these strong machine fusions against Rex, you can beat over pretty much anything that he plays apart from Brachioradus. But if he brings out one of these, we can play our Fiend's Hand, which when our Fiend's Hand is destroyed, it will blow his Brachioradus up, or we can use a card like Paralyzing Potion. All we need to worry about is if he uses a card such as Stainstorm, but if he uses these cards and we defeat him, we can claim them, and they're pretty decent. They're high deck cost cards we can reincarnate. Another pretty powerful strategy is, even though we don't have a terrain card, we can actually turn our Fiend monsters into zombies with the Call of the Haunted. So Call of the Haunted is 1 deck cost, which is awesome. It just keeps that deck cost low. And say if we equip our Ushi Oni with a Fiend's Castle to make it 2650, if we turn that into a zombie, it is now 3150 on Wasteland. This can destroy anything Rex plays. If you don't know this already, if your save file has less than 3 wins, Rex actually does not play equip cards. Neither does Weevil actually. So what this actually means is, because Brachioradus is the highest attack card that Rex has, if you have less than 3 wins, well, the highest attack you can play is 2700. So if you can beat over that, it's GG. So now we get to the part where you're probably going to be triggered that I'm cheating, but I'm going to explain just for time's sake. We are going to accelerate the process by rolling for 3 in a row and reincarnation. Otherwise, we won't get this video until next year, and then it's completely pointless. So whatever, you know, theoretically you could sit here and farm 3 in a row for 1,000 years, well, if you could live that long. So look, I'm just gonna get the specific 3 in a row that I want. In reality, these aren't even the best 3 in a rows. You can get Barrel Dragon and stuff. I've actually explained this in this video up here or wherever it is. Click on it. You can get cards like Skull Knight and Barrel Dragon and Labyrinth Tank, but Summon Skull and Toon Summon Skull, oh boy, these are the best fiends to play right out of the hand. For the card Summon Skull, it's the only way to actually get this card in the entire game is to get 3 in a row. So because it's like a 1 in 28 chance or whatever, I'm just gonna roll for it because Summon Skull is a bro, okay? Summon Skull is so cool that I don't even care. Toon Summon Skull is actually easier to get than Summon Skull. You can get it by 3 in a row or Reincarnation. If you reincarnate monsters around 37 deck cost, usually I do around 40, you can get TSS, and it is literally the same card as Summon Skull, but it is strong on Toon Terrain as opposed to being weak on Toon Terrain. So for all intents and purposes, it's the same thing, just really good against Pegasus. Now remember, as part of the deck building process, as we just collect cards, we want to get rid of anything in our deck that's not really that good and replace it with anything that's useful. So even before we start setting the fiends up, what we can actually do is pick up some zombie cards that will make this farming process a lot easier. In reality, I want to visit Necromancer anyways, because he has Dark Energy, which most fiends are dark, so if we get a few of them, we just have more equips. And as I said, Terrain and equips, these are the 2 best things ever. For deck building, PvE, anything, it's just, you need these in your deck. So, do it. By the way, if you get 3 Dark Energy in a row, you will get Dark Hole 100% of the time. And that's pretty cool, because Dark Hole is OP as shit in this game. Panik might seem tricky to farm, but luckily speedrunners have come to the rescue and invented an ingenious strategy to destroy him and remind you about how funny the AI is in this game. And to farm him, we are going to do the exact same thing every single time, and it's going to work approximately 90+% of the time. First turn, we're going to move forward, then we're going to play the strongest monster we possibly can on the top left tile, and then move that 1 tile forward. On our second turn, we are going to move that monster forward again, then we move our own deck leader forward 1 tile, then we play our strongest monster out of the hand to the top right tile and move that card forward. Now, he's going to move forward between our 2 monsters and make a play. And unless he OTKs you with a double equipped Fuse Summon Skull, which is actually very unlikely, you can attack him twice on the next turn. And if you have a collective of 4k attack or higher, you can OTK him here. Otherwise, you can just attack him twice and then you're in a really good position to follow up. In this position, actually, before attacking him to finish the duel, you can just sit around and run over his cards or let him play more combination. If you let him keep playing, he has more of a chance to send equips to the graveyard just by equipping his own monsters in the hand. And also, if he creates a fusion, he sends those fusion materials to the graveyard, and one of those is Job Change Mirror, and you really want Job Change Mirror, because Job Change Mirror creates Summon Skull as long as you fuse it with a fiend card that has 1600 attack or higher, and that is awesome. So this is where we are now. We have access to Darkness Ruler, so we can sit here and duel him as much as we need and get as many cards as we want. So my biggest priority is a Yami Terrain card, but it's actually not very likely for him to play this. He prioritizes traps, and then monsters, and then spells. So for him to play a spell, he actually needs to not have any traps in his hand, and then he needs to not have any monsters that he can play in his hand. So say he's got a bunch of 6-star monsters in his hand and he doesn't have enough summoning power to play them, then he will play the first trap in his hand. So you just have to hope that that's Yami. Otherwise, you might not see it for quite a while, to the point where I would suggest actually trying to reincarnate for Yami if you don't get it within the first 5 duels. And I'm serious about that. Something we also consider is that as we farm, we build our deck as we go. That makes farming easier, and it also gives us a better picture of what point we're up to. Just as we pick up monsters, it's good to get rid of our bad monsters anyways. For example, Barox, this card doesn't even have 1400 attack and it's 5 summoning power. And 5 summoning power, let me tell you, is so much worse than 4, because it means if you draw it on your opening hand, you cannot play it. If you don't know this, you start with 4 SP and you regenerate 3 every turn. So if you have, say, 3 Barox in the deck, as opposed to any 3-4 SP cards in the deck, and you draw all those, you can't play any of them, so it's actually a pretty significant difference. Other ones are a bit more obvious. For example, Neck Hunter, 1750 attack, 6-star. I mean, you can get 4-star fiends with 1800 attack, like the Bistro Butcher. There's literally no reason to have Neck Hunter in the deck over Bistro Butcher. Don't forget that cards with a really high defense actually just have more deck cost, and in all honesty, having a monster with like 2000 or more attack is way better and way more useful than having any card with 2000 defense. It's just not even close. That's also more of a crunch thing, that if we compare 4-star fiends like the Man-Eating Treasure Chest with a 3-headed Geedo, the Man-Eating Treasure Chest is just straight up better for attacking by almost a full equip or terrain bonus. They're the same deck cost, and the 1600 attack threshold is actually very important for fiends, as the Man-Eating Treasure Chest will combine with the Job Change Mirror to make Summon Skull, but that 3-headed Geedo won't. So even though these cards seem very similar, the Man-Eating Treasure Chest is actually so much better. So much better than the 3-headed Geedo. So please consider this stuff. Again, if you fail to meet that 1600 threshold, you make Ryukishin powered instead of Summon Skull, which is 900 attack weaker. So this is like a huge difference. Now, of course, all decks seem to have spells or traps in addition to just their monsters, and you know, say if you have about half of your deck is monsters and then you put in about 7 equips, that's the ratio I go for, there's still quite a bit of room for spells and perhaps traps. So as we're dueling him, we want to collect as much traps as possible. Basically, I would fill the deck with traps after I've sorted everything out, and the strength of those traps would vary based on the deck cost of whatever opponent I'm going to duel. By the way, Shadow Spell is probably one of the strongest cards in the game that you can get from the graveyard slots. If you see this in the slots, get it ASAP. 3 Shadow Spells, that's literally an entire Blue Eyes White Dragon worth of attack reduction and 9 turns of stun. It is, again, one of the best cards you can get in the graveyard slots. Panik also has some other Fiend support cards, such as Castle of Dark Illusions. That increases the attack and defense of all your Fiends by 500, while it's face-up defense on the field. Okay, so once we have, say, even 1 copy of every single card we want, we are pretty much done with Panik himself, and we can go to Deck Master K. With Deck Master K, we can put all the cards that we want into our deck and duel against ourselves, and Deck Master K will play our own cards, and this will accelerate the farming process. Say if we have 1 Dark Energy and 1 Fiend Castle and 1 Malevolent Nuzzler, when the enemy plays this and it gets sent to the graveyard, we have a chance to get a duplicate of any of those cards. And the same applies with any card that goes into the graveyard slots. We can even duplicate our own Paralyzing Potion, but of course we're focusing mostly on the cards such as the power-ups, and Deck Master K, assuming we already have a Yami, is actually more likely to play it than Panik, at least from what I know. Now this is another thing where it would take you a pretty long time to rank up any monster in this game, like literally more than 5.5 hours if you ranked it optimally. So instead of doing that, I'm actually just going to literally edit the game and lower the thresholds of the ranks so that all my monsters are going to be ranked up more. So that's just in case you're wondering how I'm doing this. Again, I have actually got a video of this, the modding tool that I used to make the Redux mod, which you should also play that if you haven't, but anyway. Well, it has been quite a large amount of farming, even despite doing things to accelerate the process. Maybe perhaps trading cards from another save file to accelerate the process. Anyways, now we've got an overpowered deck. That's it. I mean, there's no point even playing the game now because we've already won it. Our deck's already good enough to beat the entire game, but of course we are going to steamroll everyone. So we've already beat Rex, we've already beat Necromancer, we've already beat Panik, so now we just have to duel the other 18 duelists in the game, and it's GG. So let's go ahead and crush everyone. Weevil is one of our worst matchups, so luckily we've leapfrogged him entirely, And the biggest help here is having the terrain card. If you think about fiends versus insects on forest, the total attack swing is about 1500. We go from being weak to strong, so we go from minus 500 to plus 500, and also we remove his plus 500. On forest, I mean, a Quagga Hercules can beat over a Summon Skull, but that is not possible on any other terrain, even if you had like Burning Land. So Weevil just gotta destroy him, run through the middle, up into the corner, attack him, he's gone. Keith, really not an issue here. Again, with the wasteland terrain, you could even do old fallback strategies. You could probably beat this guy without having modified this deck. But we did, so play any number of Yamis, and he's always going to play at his end, and you can push him to one corner, and just surround him with 2 strong monsters. If your monsters are above 3000 attack, you don't need to worry about them dying to Invisible Wire, or any card for that matter, so you can just keep bodying him with that, and it's all good. Labyrinth Ruler. Again, this guy is honestly a joke. The only threat is this guy maybe puts you to sleep and you fall over and knock your head, and this guy's boring. You just go around the side and beat him. Pegasus. I could probably do a whole good video about how to beat him. I think I did once, but it was a really bad video and I deleted it someday. Really, look, if you're playing against Pegasus, never have a strong monster next to your deck leader. If you never have any monster next to your deck leader, he actually will never play Change of Heart or Brain Control. I'm not kidding you. Even if it's 2 tiles away, like within attacking range, he will not activate it. He just doesn't know that that is a thing. As for Tremendous Fires, if you're really getting unlucky and he's destroying you with Tremendous Fires and reviving with Mimicat and destroying you, get yourself some LP recovery cards. You can get these from Weevil and Rex. You can get Goblin Secret Remedy from Weevil, and you can get Red Medicine from Rex. Ishtar, I don't even know what advice to give other than just, like, attack her. I have no... I can't remember the last time I've, like, died to this duel, you know, apart from, like, a speed run where you're going for crazy risks. I don't know what she even does, honestly. Yeah, whatever, just beat her. We're already at Richard, and again, you just attack him. You literally just attack him. You don't even need to worry about anything except Acid Trap Hole. And if he has Acid Trap Hole, he telegraphs it entirely, and you can bait it out by attacking that face down or next to it with any other card. And he's just gone. After that is Seto Kaiba. He's going to run to his corner, and we are going to corner him. We can even play Yami in the middle. Yami, we can also play in his corner, so that when we're cornering him in his own little Stonehenge between the 2 rocks or whatever, I don't know, it's kind of weird. But yeah, he's just stuck there, and he really doesn't have any strong answers to that, so if we're playing like Summon Skull with an equip on Yami terrain, like, we can actually just beat over pretty much anyone, except maybe the final boss if they've Ryoku'd something. Which, speaking of which, we have the final boss. Well, one of the 2. So the Crush guy, if you have anything weak, you can just attack him directly down the middle. Otherwise, I recommend playing a terrain card down the middle. A nice trick you can do with this guy, if you activate terrain so that he's still standing on a Crush tile, you can abuse Crush. It's really cool. So if you want to abuse Crush, when the AI's deck leader is on a Crush tile, he thinks that you can't actually attack him onto that Crush tile. So he will stay there. So if you put a really high attack monster right next to the enemy deck leader while they're on a Crush tile, he will just sit there. He won't move away because he thinks you can't attack him. So just set that up and you can attack him twice and beat him. Really, the only way this guy actually kills you is if he does like a bullshit combo like Ryoku's twice or 3 times on the first turn, and then immediately after that he Tremendous Fires you. That's like the only way this guy kills you, really, like burning you down. And so now we are on the White Rose side. It's even easier than the Red Rose side, if you can believe it or not. Taya, the only threatening thing she has against us is Enchanted Javelin, which actually instantly destroys Fiend monsters. We just honestly need to look out for that in the graveyard slots, and apart from that, we're fine. Absolutely fine. We can just attack any card that isn't one of those. We can also attack her leader directly, and we destroy her very, very, very quickly. Tristan, oh my god, I do not even need to say anything, you just literally attack him. Luckily for us, at this point, we are actually quite strong deck-wise, so my advice is to simply activate a terrain card either on the middle or her side of the field if you can successfully. And if you have anything like Curse Breakers or any card that neutralizes attack boost, this is the perfect duel to use them, apart from the final bosses with Ryoku, of course. My strength mainly comes from just stacking a bunch of power-ups on her cards and bringing out monsters that have like 4,000 attack. It's quite ridiculous. If you can beat Mai and Mako, you can beat basically everyone on this side up until the final boss. Like, honestly, Mai is arguably more difficult than Yugi. I'm not even joking, by the way. But, moving on, of course, next is Mako. Mako is an absolute nightmare if you have a machine deck, but apart from that, not really an issue. You'd really just attack him. There's nothing to worry about. Just beat him over, and hey, if you get Heavy Storm or something, that's pretty cool. Not really a Fiend-themed card, so I wouldn't stick it in the deck, but it's actually a really, really strong card. So after Mako is Joey. Again, what do I even say for some of these duels? I mean, it's just complete annihilation. He never stood a chance. Nor did the man who came after him, Shardy. It's so weird. It's funny because you've got Yami terrain on your side of the field, but you just kind of run down the middle and attack him anyway. After that is... do I really have to do this duel, man? Do I really have to do this? Yes, I do, but it's fine. So the interesting thing, if you don't already know this about Grandpa, is if you go up the left column, that's all his traps, and if you go up the right, that's all his monsters. And his monsters have like flip effects and stuff like that. So just use that knowledge next time you play against this guy. It's always the same. All you really do for this guy is just barrel it down a lane, and then once you're in his little hut, or whatever it's called, his little house of darkness, I don't know, you just attack him directly, and he just doesn't really do anything. It just sits there and takes it. Feel pretty bad for him, but actually no, I don't. I retract that. I don't feel bad for this guy at all. He's like the least fun duel in the game. So after him we have Bakura. So the only thing about this guy is we have to reduce the deck cost down to 757, but that's really not a problem. We can just get rid of all of our high deck cost cards and replace them with the low ones and smash them in the face anyways. And once the duel's over, we can re-edit the deck however we want. We can get up to like 1200 and something deck cost, because the only two duels to beat left are Yugi and the final boss. So we go into Yugi. Oh my god, we just don't even need to try against Yugi. We just don't even need to try against Yugi. I mean, one or two attacks directly, he's dead. And same with the final boss, Chakra. All we need to do is, if he plays Ryoku, we can neutralize it, or attack around it, or use any form of trap or removal, unless of course he brings out Royal Decree. But the funny thing about this guy is, of course, speedrun strats. For a lot of people, speedrun strats are very useful. For this guy, all we really need is like a card that's strong on Yami to do a speedrun strat. If we open with like a Summon Skull and any number of equips, we can actually like 2-turn kill this guy. I am not kidding you. So, you can draw as many times as you want for that. Otherwise, just Rambo him. Just run him down. The whole middle of the field's Yami, and we're gonna consistently create powerful cards. So unless he Ryoku's like a Zoa or something, it's not very likely he's actually going to beat us, because we're basically playing the same stuff that he is. And that is that. So, little one-on-one here, just between you and me, you know, whoever you are, specifically the viewer. I don't really know how invested you are in the channel, or how much you've been paying attention to it or not, but in the last 2 years I've been pretty lazy content-wise. I've made videos talking about this and that and the other, and it's just all crap, and I end up removing them. I made this video purely because I felt like making it. I had an itch to make something decent for a while, and I just thought I would make this and commit to it. And we'll see in the future how much more I will be doing. But yeah, I gotta admit, like, I did want to try Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, but I have to admit, after a couple months of playing it, I stopped cold turkey without even really trying. And I haven't even started the game since then, I'm not kidding. I haven't played Master Duel in months. I find it less fun than Duelists of the Roses, actually. Which is, I didn't say that 2 months ago, because I was having fun with it, but oh my god, I was just so bored of the same decks. Like, you know, you'd think an online game would change over time, but I was playing against the same decks for like 5 months straight, so it's like, whatever. But yeah, look, I could go on forever about what the future of the channel is. I'm just going to say I don't know. I'm just going to make a video when I feel like making a video. Maybe it's about this game, maybe it's about Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know. I really don't know. So, all I want to say is thank you for sticking by, and I know I'm erratic and weird. Thanks for all the members who are still giving me money despite the fact that I've not really been doing anything. You guys really believe in me. That is so cool. Thank you guys so much. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video, whatever that may be. Have a Merry Christmas. Goodbye.